Yeah. Okay. Good evening, everyone. Welcome to the Planning Working Party. Before I start, I've got a little thing to say, really, first of all. As you can see, we've received 4 councillor apologies for this meeting. Application 4, phase 6 for Simon Homes is a very important application. And because of the apologies and other applications that we've got to go through tonight, I wonder what the working party feels about having a special meeting for application 4. So I'd like to know your opinions, really, which would be Councillor Liz and Dave Smith and Councillor Brown. And that's it, really, and myself. How do you feel about having a special meeting? Because it is vital. I think 1 or 2 councillors live in that area or around that area as well that are on the working party. I just wondered how you feel about having a special meeting for that, because it is a very special and there's a lot of things on there.
Are you saying on a separate evening other than tonight?
On a separate evening, and we can sort of look in our diaries to see when it is convenient for that. How do you feel?
I think that I wouldn't mind if that's the case. There were a lot of documents. I was looking through them today. So yeah, we could. It would help perhaps if we had the input of the other members of the party.
Are there any time constraints?
Well, Vicky, you sort of can you sort of explain on that? Really?
I can ask for an extension to the consultation period. I'm sure, being such an important and large application, that Charlotte would give us an extension.
Our next meeting is on the 24th, but I think it's quite busy for me, and I think it will be for other councillors that are on West Suffolk Council next Monday and Tuesday, obviously for Town Council and what have you. I was thinking of the 9th, Monday the 9th, but
yeah.
Councillor Brown.
Yeah, I'd like to be a little bit contrary to that. I mean, I think we should crack on with it now. This meeting's been on the agenda for some time. We're getting into the summer months. There's always going to be councillors that are not going to be available. Councillor Joe Mason, who's been, really monitoring this whole application, here. Councillor Burns has been monitoring this application. The residents are here. I'd like to just crack on with it, to be fair.
Okay, Councillor Dave Smith, how do you feel?
I'm happy to go on tonight, or if you think if everybody thinks it's best. I think I don't know. I'm easy either way. I mean, as I say, it is a very important application. So extra time would be helpful, but it is a problem squeezing all these meetings in.
I'm happy to go ahead tonight if everyone else is happy to do so. It's fine.
Okay. Yeah, I personally myself, I would like a special meeting for it, really, but anyway, let's have a vote, shall we? Can I have a proposer and a seconder on a particular vote?
Joe wanted to speak beforehand, Chair, I think. Is that
Sorry?
Right? Joe had his hand up to speak before.
Oh, right, sorry, I do apologise. Councillor Mason?
Thanks, Chair. I mean, I realise I'm not a member of this committee, although it's beginning to feel like I am the amount of times the Simon planning comes up. This particular one is an important one but I strongly suspect that there's not going to be in this one a lot of contrary viewpoints, and we have a number of residents who I'm sure would like to voice concerns, and it may be that it might be prudent to have the conversation go ahead and then make the judgment at the end as to whether actually you need more members to be able to hold the vote. But I think it would probably be worthy of having a discussion now and allow those members of the public who are attending the opportunity to have their say.
Well, I don't know about Colin's view on this, but you know, once we sort of get going, we can't really stop it, can we? You know, we got to continue to, and then obviously have a vote on it. Although we're quorate, but we're very low on membership. Colin, you know, we can't sort of stop and go back like Councillor Mason said, can we? Really?
Well, you can discuss the matter then. If members of the committee wish to defer a decision to allow for further consultation, there's absolutely no reason why that couldn't be done, other than it may not necessarily be a desirable way to go about things. At the end of the day, it's down to the committee, and until you've had that discussion, I think it'll be difficult to know. But there's no governance issue there. It's absolutely fine if you want to have the discussion and then stop short of a vote.
Okay, right. Should we do that then, committee members? Yeah. Okay. Right. We'll continue with that then. Okay. Should we? Shall I start the agenda, and then when we come to obviously the applications, then we'll have application 4 first. Is that the way we want to go? Yeah. Okay. Right. Okay then. Let's get the agenda up on my phone. Right. Welcome to note that this is item 1. To welcome to note that this is a working party and has no delegated authority and may only make recommendations to full council. Urgent actions may be taken under delegated authority given to the clerk and the chair. Right, item 2, apologies for absence. Please, Vicky.
Yes, councillors Lucarini, Davis, McManus and Stinchcombe.
Thank you. Item 3, declarations of pecuniary interest and request for dispensation. Anyone? No. Councillor Smith. Just still muted.
Sorry. Yeah, because I work at the prison, so item 2, I think it was on the planning applications, just a non-pecuniary interest because I work at that in that area. Thank you.
Thank you. Item 4, minutes of the previous meetings. To approve the minutes of the meeting held on the 5th of April and the 11th of April. May I have a proposer and a seconder so that I may sign them minutes, please, which is Councillor Brown and Councillor Liz Smith. All those in favour, please show. Right, carried. Thank you very much. Item 5, matters arising from those minutes. First one is the 5th of April. Page. Oh, I haven't got. See, I've got my phone again, and there's not the pages on there. Yeah, yes, please. That'd be good. Doesn't have the page numbers on my phone. Okay, thank you very much. That's page 290. Okay. 291. No. 292. No. 293. No. Councillor Burns?
Just on that last one, or last two, in fact, despite them not having any planning permission, they have actually opened, and they've been advised again today that the fact they are contravening any planning rules.
They are contravening them.
Yeah, because they haven't got plan permission.
Right.
It has been recommended for refusal, but they are looking. They're probably going to withdraw those two applications. Sorry.
Thank you.
And might go for permitted development rights. I don't know yet.
Oh, right. Okay. Right. 293. I think it was. Ah. Something's happened to my screen. Hold on. Hopefully I'll get back to you. Yeah, that's better. That sometimes happens when they're shared. My screen goes off. Right, that's appendix, isn't it? 294, is it? Everyone okay with that? Yeah. Next one, please, Vicky. Whatever it is. Thank you very much. That's a lot. Right, thank you very much. And the next one is dated the 11th of April. 95. Anyone? No? 296. No.
Yeah.
296, Councillor Brown.
Yeah, have we had any response yet from Suffolk County Council about the letter that we wrote to them about their lack of consultation with neighbours, etc.?
Tony, no, I haven't sent that yet because I've been on annual leave.
Right, okay. If that can be done, that'd be great. Thank you.
Yeah, sorry about that.
Yeah.
Can you sort of put that on the agenda for next time then, please, Vicky?
Yeah, sorry. So we've had a lot going on in the last couple of weeks.
Okay. And the next one, please, Vicky, or Colin, whoever it is. This is from Brad and Anne. Councillor Mason, Councillor Crooks, Councillor Smith, Dave Smith, Liz Smith. So there's quite a lot that we put in there. Okay, 298 is there. Is that the lot? 297?
That's the last page.
Right. Item 6, the members of the public to speak on planning matters other than the applications. I've gone off again, that's it. Other than the applications before the working party. Does anyone want to speak other than the applications? No? No? Councillor Anne? You're muted.
Hello, thank you for having us again.
Right.
Can I just say thank you for all the input you gave at the last meeting about Anne Suckling Road. And could I say thank you to Colin Burns?
Cool.
Paul, sorry, Colin Paul, sorry, about the letter he sent in, which was really very thoughtful and full of lots of information about the different types of roads and how Anne Suckling fits within that. So just want to say thank you for all our hard work on that, actually. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that, Anne. Thank you. It's nice to be appreciated. It's good coming back on that. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, item 7, to consider planning applications to West Suffolk Council. I would invite members of the public who wish to address the working party in relation to a planning application to speak ahead of the working party, considering each application in turn. Right, if we go to application list B, sorry, and application 4. This is application 4, which is DC 220618 RM. Reserved matters application, submission of details under outline planning permission SE 091283, the means of access, appearance, landscaping, layout and scale for the construction of 98 dwellings, together with associated means of enclosure, car parking, vehicle and access arrangements, landscaping and open space for phase of residential development known as Phase 6. The application includes the submission of details to enable discharge of conditions B9, B16, B17, B20, B21 and B24 of Outline Planning Permission SE 091283, land northwest of Haverhill and Suckling Lane, Little Rattin. Okay. As you can see, there's comments there. Is there any comments from the committee members? Sorry, not from the committee members, from the members of the public, sorry. Brad, is that? Brad, please, I saw first.
Hi. Yeah, I just wanted to, sorry, I'm struggling with the report and a very small screen that I'm stuck on. So I'm just, one of the things I wanted to say was just about the whole position of the application, and you're talking about the visual impact and the impact on the area. I mean, it's actually very hard to do that because all we have at the moment is site 6. What we don't have is the other side of the infrastructure road and what that's going to look like. So in terms of overall impact, it's actually quite difficult to assess what that will be like. And we already have on the left-hand side of that road, if you like, going up the hill, quite massive frontages of 3-story buildings right up there. We're assuming, rightly or wrongly, that will be reflected on the other side of the road. But it's not clear because we haven't been told that. And this is a big problem, as you know, with all of these applications with Persimmon. The whole site is so broken up into small segments that it's actually virtually impossible to really decide what this thing will look like. So that was the first point I wanted to make. The other thing in the street scenes, and particularly street scene CC, looking from the back of Falklands Road at the buildings, what's shown as in the shadow format is the the effect of the buildings, again, going up the hill, the 3-story buildings, and just in terms of what they look like, they are absolutely huge and dominating the area. And my concern is that that's scaled right up this hill is going to be really impactful on the whole area. So just to say that. The other thing in terms of that hill, I mean, I can't remember which diagram it is, but basically showing the buildings up the hill, it shows a very nice gentle incline. Thank you. And it's actually really steep up there, as we've talked about on other occasions. So unless they're going to remodel the hill, as they seem to be doing on 2B, it's difficult to know again exactly what that's going to be like. Again, just an idea that instead of just a straightforward run of buildings, that those buildings could be broken up with lower buildings, so there isn't such an impactful view of that road. I think I'm just about done, actually. So, and lastly, is just looking at the green landscaping, which we always talk about. Once again, inside the development, there just isn't any. I wonder where this community, just as we've said on 2B, I wonder where they're actually going to collect and meet together. Thank you, Pat.
Thank you very much, Brad. Councillor Mason. Oh, hold on, Councillor Mason. Can I, unless it's sort of relevant to that, is it relevant to that, to what Brad has just said?
I'm happy to talk whenever. If it's other members of the public wanting to go first, I'm more than happy to wait.
Yeah, there is one. Thank you very much for that. Yeah, okay. Mike?
Yes, good evening. Yet again, we are back discussing the housing applications around the Boyton Hall estate. Very soon, I think we will be completely sealed off from the countryside. Brad has stated most of our objections regarding the 3-story apartment blocks, the gradient of the hill, which is far steeper than has already been stated. This is a difficult one because obviously people who look at the plans get a completely false impression. I wish they would come out and have a look at the site. The other concern, I've just been looking through on the planning portal of West Suffolk, which, to be quite honest, sometimes is a complete nightmare because you get thrown out at regular intervals, and especially when you're in the middle of something and then you suddenly find out you can't go back to the document that you were previously looking at. The application asks for a discharge of conditions, and one of the conditions they have is the condition B9, which is the condition for loading, unloading, etc. Persimmon has stated that this condition is met by some of the items. There's a parking plan, cycle storage, turning head, etc. But the actual thing about that condition, as far as I understand, is that they have to have access to the site. Now, the access to the site is negotiable, I think, but obviously we have been told by Suffolk County Highways that Anne Suckling Road will not be an access point for the development of that site. So in the discharge of conditions, there should be a statement which says how Persimmon plan to access the site and to develop the work on it. Thank you.
Thanks very much for that. Does Russ or Valerie want to speak on this before Councillor Mason comes in at all? No? Ah, Valerie, yeah, I see your hand up.
Yeah, sorry, I had to unmute myself. I mean, I'm very concerned with, you know, what Persimmon is up to. I'm concerned because, as it's been said, we're going to be surrounded by houses. The fact that they want to join Anne Suckling Road with another road, and I don't think we can do much about it, it horrifies me because we've got a lot of problems. I.e., when you drive into Anne Suckling Road from Ratting Road, there's loads of parked cars there, which narrow the road, and I can just see it turning into a rat race, and it's just going to be horrific. Also, we've got to bear in mind that all these people, until the bypass is built, are going to use that road, and you can't stop it because they just will. It's nature. And I can see lorries, etc. Persimmon did try to use Anne Suckling Road as parking, and I actually contacted Penny at West Suffolk Council about it, because we had loads of cars parking at the bottom of Anne Suckling Road, and we knew they were the builders, and they're not supposed to do that. Luckily, because I complained about it, that was actioned upon, so it was really good. But it's the destruction of basically hedges, trees, everything. We need more trees to combat climate change, and we're destroying them. And I find it completely bonkers to what the council is allowing Persimmon to do. I'm sorry, I don't trust Persimmon because I know what they're like. Their reputation is horrific, as most of you know. And I just think they're going to do whatever they feel fit if they can. The same as the way they dug that pool at the bottom of Anne Suckling Road. And their comment was, because it got to the top and it was going to overflow, their comment was, oh, they didn't expect it to fill up so quickly. Well, any person with any brain knows that we are on heavy clay. And if you pat the clay down, it becomes a pond. So it's just the whole attitude of the builder that seem to, they don't care about anybody other than themselves.
Thank you, Larry. Thank you very much for that. Russ?
Yeah, well, I think as I've been here, it's my second time. I thought I'd have my little moment. I have to say, I'm also a resident. I am very concerned about what's going on. I'm getting on and off Anne Suckling Road following the last meeting we had. I don't know, hopefully Councillor Mason could update us how his meeting went with West Suffolk, and whether the planners came out to have a look at the road network. But getting on and off that road is already getting very congested. There's a lot of traffic on. And Suckling Road is already busy. I mean, there was 10 vans parked on that road back to back this morning at 7:45. All because of building work going on one of the bungalows. That was just one bungalow. Don't know where the 10 vans come from, but there was 10 vans parked right away along. I was driving along 7:45, and already people were having to reverse to get one another past. And that's just very start. Going down the hill, you can see the building work going on at the top of the hill. And already that's starting to have a major impact on the whole environment. The water at the bottom has been flooded. You can see a pipe that's draining out, which is obviously, and once that whole development is concreted, that water's got to go somewhere, and that's only go down and go to the bottom, and gradually you are going to have a major issue into Withersfield Road. I would imagine every time there's a major road, there's going to end up at Withersfield Road, and we all know that floods on a regular basis at the best of times. So I think there's some big issues that's going to come around. As I say, I'm very, very upset about Sucking Road and what's been perceived for it. The whole nature of this estate is changing dramatically over the last 3 or 4 years. The traffic into Haverhill now is starting to get bad. I would suggest Sucking Road at least will need a roundabout onto the A143, if nothing else. Yeah, concerned.
Thank you very much, Brad. Russ, sorry. Thank you very much for that. Okay, Councillor Mason. Oh, hold on. Sorry. I see Brad's just, sorry, Councillor Mason. I see Brad's just put his hand up again.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Just a quick question, really. So, do you know offhand who in this estate would be informed about the development of Site 6? Because I'm just a bit sort of interested that there's no one here from Falklands Road which backs directly onto that, and there's a major impact there. And I just wonder whether you know whether they've actually been informed that it's happening or not. Perhaps Joe knows the answer to that. I don't know. That's, yeah. Thanks for that, Brad. Thank you.
Thank you, Brad. Joe? Councillor Mason, I should say. Sorry.
Okay, answering that last point. Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, very well, sir.
Okay.
Thank you.
Yeah, answering that last point, I don't live on Falklands Road. I live off it, but I did receive a letter from West Suffolk Planning. I haven't checked with residents, I must confess, but I would imagine that they would have received that letter. I will be endeavouring to try and get down and meet with those residents at the earliest opportunity, just to doubly make sure. I have had a number of correspondence from residents along that road talking about the plans, so I would imagine that they have, and they viewed them online, but whether everybody has done that. When I did go down.
Sorry to interrupt you, Councillor Mason.
Yep.
Isn't there one on this application at the top from Falklands Road? Or have I seen it wrong? Vicky, are you in control of this? What's on the screen? Can you go right to the top? Because I saw Falklands Road.
Yeah.
49.
Yeah, number 49. I know that resident, and actually I'll be talking about one of the issues faced with this phase. Chair, I've got quite a lot to go through, so
yes.
I'm going to surge ahead. Is it possible we could go to the 5th of April and look at street scenes A to E, and it's 213114 015. Street scenes.
There we are.
You've got it?
Is that it? That's 015. Oh no, it's 051. Sorry, carry on.
I think you're going the wrong way. Oh, hang on.
I don't know. No, they're all over the place, Councillor Mason.
Yeah. Well, yeah, we're getting to it. We're getting to it.
Yeah.
There, street scenes A to E.
Yeah. Yeah, the dates is right. You know, that's the one I think we should look for. 5th of April. It'd be easier then.
Okay, just a couple of observations about these street scenes. Actually, we're not seeing the whole. There we are. Okay, so the topography of the site makes for a very staggered approach to house lines. And one of the points I was going to make, and I think it was made by Mr. Strachan, was that there's not a break in property. And for me, it's lacking some air gaps in order to kind of allow light through between buildings. I think the aesthetics of having so many buildings joined onto each other makes for a very large and ungainly building, which kind of, being 3-story, as you go up the hill, just seems to get larger and larger. Now, there is a caveat to this, in as much as on the top image there is a break in perspective, and it curls round to the left. If you look in the top diagram, it curls from B to A. So the entrance into the estate on the right-hand side has a small, it's less than half of the size, and so some of it is hidden from view. Now, my understanding is, and we're going to have a working party with town councillors. I think it's in May the 12th, regarding the local centre, which is on the other side. And my understanding of the local centre is that there aren't going to be 3-story buildings on that. It's very much going to be about community use, and so obviously we can't assuage residents' fears that there could be another set of 3-story buildings, but that would be another planning application. I would agree with the sentiment. It's very frustrating that we don't ever seem to see the big picture and be able to see how all of these phases actually flow together, and how residents will actually exist between phases. It's all done rather piecemeal, which isn't helpful. So my overall, I think, objection to that line of property is it's unbroken. And I think when you look at phase 2B, and I'm relieved those are 3-story buildings and not the 4-story buildings that West Suffolk, I believe, the planning officers were going to approve. But collectively, residents and the town council, we managed to convince to reduce down to a 3-story. There are air gaps between the 3-story and the 2-story. And I think it's about giving the illusion of air and space. And I think that's sorely lacking. For me, density continues to be an issue with Persimmon, where they're trying to cram in as many properties as they possibly can, which leads me on to another point that I think Mr. Strachan said was about green space. Although it's very small, 2B does have a green space within its centre area. We've seen initial plans for 3B. Even 3B has kind of a very small kind of greenish area that is available, and I don't consider a sud tucked away into the corner to be a green area. And I think we need to be looking at people's mental health and well-being. And I understand that the concept of this is meant to be an urban design, not something that I would favour, but I think it was in the master plan that it was always intended to be an urban design. But I think even urban environments need a green space. And for me, it just feels very packed and very condensed for this site. As regards, can we scroll down, please? Can we just scroll down? Okay, so I was speaking with the resident. I'm looking at Stream C and CC, and because the hill inclines, there was a comment made. I don't think I've ever seen it written down in paper, but when the initial plans were proposed, that properties wouldn't be facing for properties on Falkland Road, and the 3-story building, albeit set back from the road, is higher up, and there was a noticeable loss of privacy for the residents who are already on Falklands Road. Now, of course, if you go into London, there are tower blocks that overlook properties, and there's a loss of privacy. But I think the planning regulations do say wherever possible, properties shouldn't be overlooked. And and certainly residents at number 49 have voiced that concern. But equally, there are also comments that facing onto the property, and again, I'm looking at Street Scene CC, there wouldn't be properties facing on, but they would side on. Again, there is going to be about a 30-metre gap, and I suspect the devil will be in the detail of what is permissible and what isn't. But it kind of breaks with what the message was initially, with the initial concept that properties would be side on to Falklands Road as opposed to facing the properties on Falklands Road. Okay, quickly going on. I understand about the zoning of areas and having character areas. I kind of wish that the affordable rented and the affordable shared ownership were more evenly distributed. I like the idea of communities that are integrated. And for me, there is a certain amount of clumping going on. And I think where possible, it would be nice for the community to be more integrated than is currently planned. I'm just having a look. Bin locations. Again, I know Councillor Stinchcombe isn't here, and I know bin locations is something that piques his curiosity, because we've seen it work badly in phase 1. And again, I've got to say that in some of the properties, look, you've gone too far.
Oh,
bin locations are further down. There are still some properties with ridiculously long walks with their bins. I think it's a refuse and cycle. Is it that one?
Yeah.
And there's a number of properties that have, to be honest, prohibitively long routes in order to move their bins. I'm just trying to find one as a good example.
Are they the mauve things, are they? They mauve coloured.
Hello?
Are they the bins, the
Yes.
mauve colour? Right.
Yes, they're mauve. So the purple dots are where the bins are. And
purple, sorry, yeah.
Yeah. And I think towards the top of the map, there's a better example of one that is. Yes. Okay. So you can see. Oh, dear me. There's a white circle, a white blobby shape in the car park, and you might on the right hand side there, and you might see quite a long line from the house to that particular location. And I just think for the main part, we should be trying to make it. I mean, so many parts in Haverhill, we're fortunate where we're able to put bins outside our properties. But once you're starting to do 20 metres of a walk with a heavy bin, for some people, they're gonna struggle with a long drag with the bin. And so I'm not a huge fan of this. A number of places where the bin locations aren't ideal. And I think I had one more thing. Yes, somebody made a point. I think Russ. Sorry, Russ. I don't know your surname. The meeting with West Suffolk is still yet to happen. The meeting with West Suffolk is regarding the infrastructure plan, which we discussed previously. I've received assurances that before that goes to development control, that meeting will take place. They've agreed to produce a report for me on the road traffic calming measures that they are willing to fund for Anne Suckling Road. They've suggested a number of measures, but I'm going to wait for that report. And then they're also going to do a site walk with me. I can't think of many residents who haven't had an uncomfortable experience on Anne Suckling Road with cars swinging around the corner and coming head on. And I have gone on record saying that I do believe that a mini roundabout would solve the problem. Of course, funds are a huge issue, but that doesn't mean that we shouldn't be campaigning for one and trying to make sure that the increased amount of residents using Anne Suckling Road are able to access come in and out of Anne Suckling Road onto Ratting Road more safely. I will be submitting, calling this in as a planning application, this particular application, because I still think there's more work to do. And I don't know how you feel, committee, but I would again like you to look at the density and this idea of airspace between buildings, because it feels cramped, and I suspect if we allow it to go through, it will be cramped. Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mason. Okay, committee members. Anyone want to speak on this? Councillor Brown.
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Once again, I would agree with a lot of the comments made by residents, and particularly Councillor Mason. I would totally support what you said around density and having air gaps. It just looks like a huge, some sort of Soviet era block just sitting there. You need gaps, you need light to come through. Yeah, so I would totally support Councillor Mason on that, and I think we should object on that and density, if not for the other reasons. The road network again, we really need, to reiterate that councillors and residents have got to be consulted with more by Suffolk County Council Highways, as was brought up previously. We've had a long period of COVID, and people haven't been able to get out and about and get involved so much as they would like to. So it's really important that Suffolk County Council do consult with the residents. As another point, I would so support the resident as well, number 49 Falklands Road, and the rest of the residents of Falkland Road around being overlooked. I mean, there was promises made and conversations had early on in this process, and that should be honoured, by the developer. I think to be fair, it's not easy to build a big development without having some impact on neighbours, but there can be a lot less impact and a lot more conversations with concerned neighbours and residents. Another thing that I'm pleased to see that they're going to have electric charging points for the off-road parking, but I don't seem to be able to see any for the people with affordable houses. So, how are they going to charge their cars in the future? That's going to be an issue. So I think that's something as well that we need to raise. There needs to be charging points for everyone. I don't know if they can fit them to lampposts or whatever for the affordable housing, but there's got to be charging points for everyone, not just those that can afford houses that have got off-road parking. So they're my main points, and obviously, I think that we should object, for all of those reasons.
Thank you. Councillor Mason, we'll come back.
Thank you, Chair. I'm trying to get my video to turn on, so. Oh.
Okay.
Okay, thank you. A quick comment regarding the pond and how it has affected Falklands Road residents and the damage that has been done to the ditch. And I think that it's a lesson that I think as planners or as planning committee members we need to be aware of. When a developer takes ownership of a land, I think they should take far greater responsibility for the maintenance of that land. For the main reason, the ditch that runs behind Falklands Road has been unmanaged and has been allowed to be overgrown, and that has undermined the sides of the ditch. Now, without wishing to talk about individual house owners, a number of properties have had their fence fall away and have had to move their fence, losing garden space, because the ditch hadn't been maintained by the landowner, which in this case was Persimmon. And in one case, I've seen, and in fact, that currently there's one particular fence that is in danger of collapsing. And, the residents on Falklands Road have done nothing to make the ditch any worse. And yet we have an increased flow rate of water there's been an overgrowing of flora and fauna, which has undermined the sides of the bank with the increased flow of water. And residents have ended up losing property. Now, I've spoken with planning about this, and they seem to think it's a civil matter. And, it's between the residents and the developer. I just kind of wish that we have the foresight to stipulate that that when land is taken over and owned, that it should be managed, and through no fault of their own, this unmanaged piece of land is potentially going to cost residents thousands of pounds in reinstating their fence. I mean, I don't know what comments or what measures the council can take. All I can do as member is to state my displeasure of the seemingly lack of interest that Persimmon has had regarding the damage to Falklands Road properties. Now, that ditch will be fixed, it will be maintained, but there's no commitment to actually repair the fences and panels and damage done to those residents on Falklands Roads. And I think, and my comment and my email to Persimmon was, it would be an act of goodwill, considering that they are building so close to Falklands Road, and they are going to be working on that ditch, that they should be looking at restoration or remuneration in terms of the losses or costs, in terms of the fence that is falling away due to an unmanaged ditch. I must say, it feels rather shoddy, and I totally understand the residents' anger and frustration that through no fault of their own, they seem to be losing. I don't know if the council were aware of that issue.
No, thank you, Councillor Mason. No, not at all. That's disgusting if they're losing their land as well. It's something needs to be written maybe in the 106 agreement or what have you. I don't know, unless it's something else, but I don't know. It's, planning this law is, as I say, a law unto themselves, I think. Councillor,
sorry. I certainly know the residents, if it was possible and there was a mechanism to do it, would appreciate some support from the town council, possibly in saying, in looking into this and providing some level of agreement or support. I think for West Suffolk to just say it's a civil matter. Not everybody is in a position to take up civil claims, and as I say, it seems to be an issue at the onset of developers taking over the land, but they don't seem to be held accountable for the management of that land, which would then lead to damage to other properties, and then there's no mechanism other than to go down a civil court case route for those residents. It feels rather shoddy, and I don't know if the town clerk can offer any ideas, or whether it is just a civil matter.
Right, thank you. Councillor Burns?
Right. Yeah, I mean, the SUDs, the company who owns the SUDs, or people who own the SUDs, whoever it may be, have a legal responsibility to maintain them. They are designed for a certain purpose. If they have failed to maintain them such they are overflowing or whatever it is they're doing, then at the very first instance, certainly West Suffolk, in this case, planning department, should be taking a lot more interest in it, or perhaps our enforcement department, but I don't have a lot of confidence in the latter. In terms of the S106, the S106 is signed, sealed and delivered. You cannot make any changes to it unless all parties agree to it. So there's nothing you can do about that. In terms of those blocks of flats, I thought exactly the same thing as others have said. It just reminded me of a Victorian tenement block. Looks awful. They've decided to put the highest storied buildings on the highest bit of land, and it's going to look awful. I just do not understand why these developers, it's purely for profit. is why they have got this fascination with getting as much density out of a particular piece of land as possible. You know, when we designed that master plan all those years ago and all the outline, it was a maximum. It wasn't you know, it's like a speed limit. It was, you know, you do something that's appropriate for where you're going. You don't have to go as fast as you can up to the speed limit if it's, you know, if it's unsafe, or in this case doesn't look right. Why they've done that, I just do not know. I initially looked at it and thought, oh, they're townhouses, but then I realised when I looked at the floor plans, they're rubbish. In terms of the green spaces, again, nothing, as has been said. Obviously, the Anne Suckling Road issue is going to go on, and that does need to be somehow resolved. And I don't, you know, putting calming measures down there. No, you shouldn't even be doing it in the first place. There's absolutely no reason to have that road open. You know, the whole design of the estate has been changed by somebody. I don't know who, whether it's West Suffolk have agreed it, or whether it's Persimmon are just trying it on like they did with phase 1. I don't know. You know, in my view, the master plan should at least be attempted to be kept as it was, but not made into basically a rat run through the whole estate, potentially. I'm not saying it will happen. I mean, hopefully most people will go around the relief road from the 143 I'm talking about. But of course, all the people who live in, even the people who live in Anne Suckling Road, who may want to get to the bypass, don't want to necessarily go out onto the 143, and we'll start driving around that circular proposal. We have got that meeting, I think, next week, but I just find there's no cumulative impact. I have not seen a cumulative impact statement for anything on this estate. You know, Persimmon bought this estate, they bought phase 1, and then they bought the whole rest of it. They should have done a cumulative impact assessment for the whole estate. They've not done it. They keep coming in piecemeal with all these different plans, none of which link up with anything else in terms of look and feel and all this sort of stuff. I think it's, at the current stage, it looks awful. Obviously, it's what we're looking at, the planning application, but I really think they ought to take it back to the drawing board and think again. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Councillor Dave Smith.
I think it's disappointing that no matter how much discussion we have with Persimmon, and you know, putting views across the residents and our own views, with each parcel of land that comes forward, it just gets worse and worse every time. No matter what we say, they just go ahead and do it. It's almost as if the discussions we have locally have no bearing on the overall plan, because the head office have already made up their minds what's going to go there, no matter what. I mean, we've seen with the 3-story buildings that have been built already on previous parcel, just how it sticks out like a sore thumb above the horizon, and this is just going to accentuate that. We're in danger now of going over the top of the shallow valley that Haverhill's built in and sprawling out into the surrounding countryside, and it's not a good look. You know, I agree with everything that's been said before. You know, we've been on about the infrastructure, the roads so many times. Every time one of these parcels comes forward, we've had that discussion. We know the arguments. It's just we just need to be listened to, and that's the problem. It's as if we're not being listened to at all.
Thank you, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, I just want to add to that. I know they, as you say, the density is an issue. They obviously want to get as many properties built as they want in that space, and that's why they're building flats as well. And I can understand there may be a demand for like 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom flats, but you know, they could make these lower. They could make these just 2-story buildings, or you know, you get those where they're just like got a carport underneath, haven't you? Where you got 1-bedroom, 2-bedroom places. To have these almost tower block type flats just seems unnecessary. So, you know, I think we could add that into all our list of objections that we have. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, yeah. I've got one as well to add to it. It just shows you what's happening. I certainly agree with the, with the flats that Councillor Mason said, and also the, right at the top of the hill. I just can't understand why they put the flats up the top and the houses going down the bottom. I think it's because of people, the view, like trying to block the view, but it's not stopping it. It's not happening. Why not put the flats down the bottom of the hill and the houses at the top? I just can't understand it. Really can't. And also on their garages, for instance, the single garages are 3.3 by 7.3. And instead of having a double garage, like double that, they're thinner. The double garages are thinner. And with the supporting wall, you'll never get a car in there, let alone an electric car. It's just crazy. They've just got no idea. I agree with Councillor Dave Smith. It's just getting worse and worse and worse, and they just don't care. And Colin, on asking this one about the, I think it was what Councillor Mason mentioned at the end. As far as Falklands Road is concerned and the ditch, it's is there anything that we could do, on that sort of score for them residents?
I don't think there's anything that we could particularly do. I think Councillor Mason was right to suggest that they might need to organise a solicitor's letter or something like that. I would suggest the residents work together rather than individually on contacting Persimmon. It's possible that Persimmon would roll over just on the basis of a solicitor's letter and decide it's cheaper to fix the fence, given that they've got people putting fences up on site all the time anyway, rather than try and defend something in court. So I would certainly recommend that they compare notes and consider doing that in the first instance. I wonder whether or not, I can't remember the last time we had representatives from Persimmon in for a meeting, but I wonder whether or not, given the comments that have been made, whether that would be useful. I do very much sympathise with what Councillor Smith said, that it seems like every time we come to a new area of development, all of the discussions and agreements and the kind of goodwill that was established on the preceding parcel of land is all wiped clean, as if they've had a complete memory wash, and we have to start the same arguments all over again. And I guess that's the nature of the beast that we're going to have to accept we're dealing with. It was said very early on in the meeting that Persimmon have a certain reputation, and I think we've probably found that when we've actually cornered them, they've been relatively cooperative, and I think councillors could actually look back and point out a number of wins that councillors have managed to make. I know some of the things Councillor Mason has managed to get shifted in some of the other parcels. It comes to mind straight away, and I'm sure there's plenty of others we can actually point to. And in the end, we make their properties more marketable. So as tiresome as it is, I think calling them back in and having a meeting with them yet again is probably something we're going to have to get into the habit of doing.
Thank you very much for that, Colin. Yeah, perhaps, we can, get back to what we said at the beginning. Perhaps we instead of voting on this, perhaps we do need a special meeting with them, so that public can sort of say something to them and we could say something to them. I'm open to what people say. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, thanks, Chair. Well, to be fair, I think we've heard most of the comments that we need to hear. We can form an opinion on those, the comments that we've heard tonight. And, I'd like to just propose objection, for all the reasons, listed. and hopefully that will inspire Persimmon to come and have a further chat with us. Yeah, I think that that's the best way forward. I think
we need a sort of separate letter to them, won't we, to ask them to come to see us. Okay, Councillor Dave Smith.
Yeah, I just want to second Councillor Brown's proposal.
Okay, right. Okay, Councillor Brown's proposal that we object for all the reasons that's been said tonight. I don't think we've got any disagreement whatsoever, have we, as a committee, on what's been said at all? So, okay, we've got a proposer from Councillor Brown and a seconder from Councillor Dave Smith. All those in favour, please show. Yeah, that's overwhelming. Right. Thank you very much for that. Thank you, everyone. Oh yeah, what about a letter then? You know, obviously asking Persimmon to come here, to come to the meeting. Do we need a vote on that, or Vicky, or what?
I can invite them to them. I can invite them to any meeting. Yeah.
Okay, right. Whenever, I don't know when we're going to ask them to come at the next meeting or what? What? Any ideas on that?
Sooner rather than later, I suggest.
Right. Okay. Well, it's only 2 weeks away, our next meeting. So if you can ask them at the next meeting, then please, Vicky. Right. Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, for attending. Thank you, Councillor Mason. Thank you, everyone. Right, back to the agenda now. This is application 1. This is DC 220429HH, single story rear extension, 5 Butte Court. Any comments on this one? I've got a comment. An extra bedroom is being added, and I don't know if you already know, but there's no parking spaces at all in that area, and there's very few parking spaces in that area. So anyway, if there's any other comments on that, on this one? No? Right, can I have a proposal then for neutral? Councillor Brown proposed, Councillor Liz Smith second. All those in favour, please show. Okay, carried. Application 2, which is DC 222418 FUL, construction of 3 4-storey house blocks, new pharmacy, property store, healthcare, education, vocational training, kitchen, commercial workshop and laundry buildings, 3 MUGAs and running track, extension to gatehouse and gym within the secure perimeter fence, together with additional car parking, a new off-site property store, landscaping and external lighting. This is HMP High Point, Haverhill Road, Straddleshall. Have we had this before? Is anything changed to it, to what we said before? I just can't understand why they put it in again. Councillor Liz Smith.
I think before, were we not just discussing it? Did it actually come up as a planning item? I can't remember. We just discussed it on the agenda, didn't we?
Vicky?
I think there has been a slight change to the layout.
Oh, right.
Yeah, I think they've moved the car park. Yeah.
Right, Councillor Brown?
Yeah, I think they've proposing to move the car park away from the back of the nearby residents' houses, as was originally proposed. Yeah, not a lot else has changed. Yeah, our main objections around lighting, 30-mile-an-hour limit, etc., etc. I think most of that still stands.
Okay. Vicky, I'll come back to you, Councillor Smith.
Yeah, it just says also there's a further ecological information received and proposed new car parks relocated to a new position. That was on the planning application.
Right. Thank you very much for that. Councillor Liz Smith?
Yeah, I think everything we said before probably still stands.
Did we mention the car parking, Vicky?
We did mention about the car parking and also the lighting, the external lighting that's going to go around the perimeter. Obviously, it has an impact on residents around that area. But also the infrastructure, I think, was a key issue before, which I think is important because we've just got that one A143, which is quite a dangerous road anyway, going through, you know, between High Point North and High Point South. And I just don't think that it can cope with the extra traffic, let alone, you know, it's a dangerous area to come out of, you know, the road. I can't think of the road. What's it called?
It's bendy, isn't it?
The one that goes into the old part of Stradley Short buildings. Sterling House, that's it. Sorry, I couldn't think what it's called. Yeah, so coming out of that road and turning into that road is quite dangerous. So I think all those things stand that we said before, and I would recommend objecting on those grounds. Thank you.
Okay. Okay. Any other comments at all? No. Right. Are you proposing that we object then, Councillor Smith? Yeah. Okay. Can I have a seconder for that, please? Oh, Councillor Brown. All those in favour, please show. That's carried. Right. Thank you very much. Application 3, which is DC 22 0386 OUT, outline plan and application, means of access and layout to be considered, in brackets, one dwelling with associated access, land south of Chapel Farm Cottage and Suckling Lane, Little Ratting, Suffolk. A number of objections from, oh, that's mine, sorry. Right. Mike.
Yes, this is a further application to one that was already withdrawn before Christmas. Basically, they've increased the size of the site, but the objections which were raised at the time still apply, i.e. that it's overdevelopment of a site which is within the curtilage of a listed building, and the access to the site is adjacent both to the footpath on 2B and also the entrance to the allotment, the car park on 2B at the brow of a hill, and also very close to Falklands Road.
Thank you very much, Mike, for that. Thank you. Is there any other comments at all? Brad?
Yeah, thanks. My comment really is just picking up on the overdevelopment of the site, really. And I just wonder how much more is going to be built along Ansuckling Road without anybody coming out and having a look at the damn place. It's you know, are we not allowed to have grass or anything, trees left along there? I mean, the next application we're going to look at on the same lines, really. So it's really comment about that. I mean, I think somebody commented earlier that this road has changed considerably just in the last few years, from a fairly open space to one which is nearly as bad as the rest of the Persimmon estate, to be honest. That's it. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Thank you. Councillor Mason?
Yes, I think I've run the risk of contradicting myself here. I do have some sympathies for the landowners in terms of what to do with this piece of land. The owners of the Boyton Hall property obviously were hoping that the developer to build the nursing home was going to take over the site, and that application, of course, was rejected. And it would appear that, you know, finding a purpose for that land is proving problematic. It feels like land clearance, what they're doing in terms of maximising land space. They talk about dead use. Well, I'm not convinced, and certainly there should be an arborologist report at the very least for the sheer quantity of trees that are looked to be felled as part of this application. We do have woodpeckers in Boyton Woods, so it is a biodiverse environment that should be protected, and already we've seen persimmon take a large swathe out of it.
I think we're talking cross purposes here, Joe.
Yeah,
I think we're on application 3, not application 5 at the moment.
Oh dear.
Sorry.
Oh dear.
Well spotted, Brad. Thank you. I'll let you come back on item 5 then, Councillor Mason.
That's fine. Go ahead.
It's been a long night.
It has. I'm sorry.
Right. Okay, Councillor Burns.
I think it's probably what's been said already, and also the objections online from the Willoughbys, the property owners. I think it's just trying to squeeze a gallon into a pint pot, and also sort of alluding to the tree application as well, as if it's all right to build anything anywhere just because there's a load of other houses around. It's, you know, I think it's definitely over density. For what they're trying to do, you know, it's a vague, because it's outlined from an outline application. It's very vague in what they want to do. It's extremely close to the boundary from next door. You know, they talk about the visibility spline and all this sort of stuff, and of course next door has said, well, actually you're not going to get that visibility spline, and they're quite right. It has to be 43 metres on a 30-mile-an-hour road minimum. 43 metres, that is. I've never been convinced there are, you know, those 43 metres is even long enough. I did point out on phase 1 of Persimmon site when they wanted to put that road in, which is now, I think, Beavis Close or whatever it's called. I said 43 metres at 30 mile an hour gives you less than 1.5 seconds to actually make a decision whether to drive out or not. So that's been my. I think the density and the vagueness of the whole thing, being an outline, you know, you just don't know what they're going to come back with later on. They may come back with a 3-story block of flats or something. You don't know. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, the only thing I've put on here myself is obviously the Willoughbys of Van Suckling Lane, the house name, has put quite a lot of things into, and I think they covered what you just said as well. Also, the environmental team has said that they want a 7.4 kilowatt charger, and other conditions on the property as well. Right, okay. How does anyone else feel on this? Is there any other? Councillor Smith?
Me as well, Pat.
Sorry, Councillor Brown. Yeah, I have to keep swapping backwards and forwards because I've got, because there's the thing on there. I've got a very small screen, so
yeah,
please bear with me.
Yeah.
Councillor Smith and then Councillor Brown.
Yeah.
Councillor Smith.
Yeah. Sorry, Dave's confusing me now. Yeah, I think Councillor Brown had his hand up before me, but anyway.
Yeah,
That's all
The
right.
reason I'm saying that is because you was on my first screen and
Oh, okay.
you was on my second screen.
You are the mayor,
Um,
so you go first.
All right then.
I
I
just
was just going
said,
to say I agree with what the property, the Willoughbys, suggested in their comments. It does seem to be that they're going to be overlooked by this property, and it is quite dense in that small space, as you say, overdevelopment, I believe. So I'd go with that, the same as that you've suggested, Councillor Hanlon. So
thank you very much.
thank you.
Councillor Brown?
Yeah, basically go back to what was said in the application number 4. Yeah, there's a huge amount of development gone on down there in Suckling. You know, it's a pity there wasn't some sort of master plan for that road. It all just seems very piecemeal. And, you know, the whole thing needs to be looked at in, you know, the cumulative impact of, you know, what's going on and the impact on residents again. So, I mean, you know, I think that needs to, you know, that point needs to be, you know, listed in I presume that we're going to object.
Yeah, yeah, that cumulative impact is very important, really, on what's going on. You know, the officers need to come down and have a look, see what's coming on themselves, really.
Yeah.
Okay, right. Can I have a proposer then on objection? Because that sort of come up, please. Councillor Liz Smith, can I have a seconder for that, please? I'll second that. I'll second that. Okay. All those in favour, please show. Yeah. Okay. Thank you very much. Right, item 5, which is, application 5, sorry. DC 220537 TPO. TPO 275, open bracket 1973, close bracket. Tree preservation area. Area 1, please forgive my pronunciation, Tuja, I think it is, I'm not sure. Open bracket T1 and plan within G3 on order, close bracket. Fell 1 ash, T2 plan on plan and within G3 on order, close bracket. Fell 1 prunus T3 on plan and within G3 on order, fell. 7 ash, G4 on plan and within G3 order, fell. 8 elms, G5 on plan and within G3 on order, fell. Area 2, 3 Tuja, I think it is, and 1 U, G1 on plan, fell. Area 3, 8 elms, G2 on plan and 1 all on all A1 on order, fell. 1 pine, G2 on plan and within A1 on order, fell. This is Boynton Hall and Suckling Lane, Little Ratting, Suffolk. I think there's 71 trees on this that's come up. Right, Councillor Burns is the one on my first screen I've just seen.
Yeah, Vicky, could you take that? You've got the older, I think it's still on screen. Thank you. Cheers. I don't know whether there are 71 trees as such, primarily because there's no arboricultural report online. There is a reference to an agent who appears to perhaps be an arboriculturalist, but it appears to me, and this is Freshwater Estates who are building the new development up there, the one with the crescent on it. I can't see any justification you know, they're saying, oh, a few dead trees and everything. And I understand that, you know, there may well be dead trees areas, but actually let's have a proper report to tell us which ones, why they're doing it. Equally, we should have a report from the West Suffolk Agricultural Officer, because this is a massive, if there are 71 trees, this is a massive desecration of a wooded area, which is, I think the comments by, I think it's Bill Reynolds, are very comprehensive. And I think everything that he says in that document is very relevant and true. And perhaps that's what should be the basis of any comments that the committee makes. But there's no reasoning why they want to take it down. You know, you forget the agricultural statement, but why do you want to do this? Why have you left it so late to decide all these trees? Why were these not part of the original planning application for that development? So, you know, I find it extraordinary why they're thinking. The only thing I can think is they're maybe going to try and put some more houses in there, but that may be me being the cynical one. Thank you.
Yeah. Before I forget, Vicky, have you got? Can you put that letter up we got from the tree? What's she called? The tree. She sent this in tonight.
The agricultural officer.
No, she's a warden, tree warden. So can you put that up for people to read, please, Vicky? Then
I'll
come
try
back.
and find it because it was just on my emails. Just
Yeah. I think it's important. I'll come back to you, Mike, and then I'll.
Just bear with me. Oh, sorry. Can you see that?
Yeah. Yeah, you'll have to move it up, I'm afraid, or scroll up a bit.
Can you see it now?
Yeah, I can see it. Yeah, but it's very thin because you've got
double clicking the actual email.
Yes, I have.
Yeah, it's not brought it up on its own. That's the trouble. Is it showing on its own on yours?
Hang on, I'll try it again. Sorry. Can you see it now?
Yeah. Yes, it's very short and sweet. We should not be cutting down mature trees with climate crisis happening, not to mention the detrimental effect it will have on to wildlife and enjoyment of the environment by residents. Developers often say they will replace trees, but they plant other smaller species which are not like the woodland trees that will be removed or will have removed. And then she says about she cannot attend the meeting. Right, okay. Thank you, Vicky, for that. Can I come to Mike first, and then I'll come back to the councillors?
Yes, thank you. I just wanted to support what Bill Reynolds has said in his letter. I have had a discussion with him about it. Our concern, I think, is the fact that whilst we understand there may be a certain amount of maintenance required to clear dead trees, etc., the actual maintenance destroys the habitats. The other thing is that they're also talking about trees which are self-planted. Now, this is a natural phenomena, but they're talking about clearing those as well. The whole thing is a clearance exercise because at no point do they mention any replanting of trees. So we're having a decidedly thinning out of the wooded area without any replanting, which we should actually be doing. Thank you.
Thank you for that. Yeah, just before I come to, Brad. Yeah, go on then, Brad.
Yeah, it's sort of interesting, this piece of wood, isn't it? Because it came up last year with the proposed development of the care home, and I find it strange that there was no idea at that point that 71 trees needed to be removed, or even any trees needed to be removed. So I just wonder how these trees have become so rotten and need of taken down in the last year. That was actually all I wanted to say.
Anne?
Sorry, can I just add to that? Yeah, I just say I completely agree with John Burns, actually, and back the other things that have been said. I think I have sympathy with the people who own the property and they want to do something with it, but trees matter and we need to make sure it's done properly and there's scrutiny of what's happening. I would say that I want to check, are these trees really diseased? Do they need to be felled, etc.? Also, the concerns made by the resident who said, you know, this is connected to a woodland, and actually clearing all trees is not what we should be doing for biodiversity. And I would say this idea of the self-seeded trees, I want to know at what point do they considered to be established? When do they become self-seeded? What species are they? How are they contributing to the environment and supporting biodiversity? And should all self trees be considered as dispensable? And so on top of scrutiny of the other trees, I also want to know a complete report about what's going on here, because I think it was mentioned when we were looking at the care home about the biodiversity in that area and what needs to happen there and what we need to consider. I mean, there's a total onslaught of Anne-Suckling Road. We've lost so much already. We need to protect what we've got, and actually we need to look at planting more trees and lots more down this road. Actually, I'm very concerned about what's happening here. Anyway, sorry, that was the main points. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Councillor Dave Smith and then Councillor Brown.
Yeah, first of all, I was just going to ask if there was any more to that email. So I'm sure we was missing something off the top. I'd be interested to see what that was. Was it?
No, that was just our replies.
All right. Okay. Fair enough. Yeah. Without the benefit of an arboriculturist report, I don't see how this could go ahead. I mean, I'm sure they'll be objecting this completely, the amount of trees, and without a good reason to chop them down. I mean, if they're saying they're diseased, fair enough. Let's get them checked out. Are they diseased? But if they can be saved in any way, that we shouldn't be chopping trees down. So that's about all to say, really. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Brown. Then Councillor Mason.
Yeah, as Councillor Burns said, we need a full arboricultural report. Absolutely do need that, but also we need a full ecological report. There's a lot of species and biodiversity living in those. God knows how many bats, etc., must be living in those trees, whether they're dead or not. You know, there's a whole you know, environment living in there, and as it looks like it hasn't been touched for quite some time, you know, you can't just go chopping 71 trees down and virtually clearing the place. And what I would say is that for every tree, if a tree is identified that it does need to come down, a like-for-like species should be planted in its place, so there's no detriment to the number of trees or species in there. And it's such a shame that there's so many elms. I understand they may be dead, or hopefully not, but maybe that's the last holdout of elms in the Haverhill area. which is, you know, a great shame to see those go. But I say we really need to ask for an ecological environment impact statement along with the arboricultural statement, and yeah, and we should strongly object to the plans. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councillor Mason.
Well, I rather shot my bolts earlier when I was talking about it, but I just did want to pick up on one thing. I totally agree with what Councillor Burns says. You know, this feels like an attack on our local environment. Far too many trees, and also far too little detail in the actual application. You know, as to where these trees are particularly located. It's just kind of vaguely zoned. I did also want to make the point, and I think Councillor Brown touched upon it, about an environmental impact report. When we think of trees, we tend to look upwards and we tend to look at bats and birds that live in them. But underneath the trees, in the undergrowth, there is a rich bug life habitat. And you only need to look at the persimmon site to see how the land has been terraformed, absolutely scrubbed clean of anything that would be natural compost, or, you know. And by clearing the trees, not only do we lose the sight of the trees and the wildlife that live in the trees, but equally we then lose all the rich and important species of bugs and things that live under the leaves and under the logs. And wherever possible, you know, we should be doing our utmost to protecting these areas. And you know, do we really need more houses on that particular part of Anne Suckling? I really don't think so. And whilst I have some sympathies of what they're going to do with that piece of land, I think scrubbing it of trees and looking to the likelihood of putting more houses on it, again, I can't defend it.
Quite right. I totally agree. Councillor Burns?
Yeah, I just want to add, which I did read earlier today and I've just forgotten about it, was the application form basically says, are these trees subject to a TPO? And the answer they've said is yes. Have you identified the numbers of the TPO? And they've said no. And then they go on to say, please indicate the reasons why you want to carry it out. Condition of the trees, e.g., is it diseased or you have fears it might break or fall? No. Alleged damage to property? No. Are you wishing to carry out trees and worked on trees in conservation area? No. So there's actually nothing there. But the entire green area around the Boyton Hall thing, they're all TPO covered. It's not individual trees like you would normally find. The whole wooded area is a TPO area. So every single tree is covered by a TPO, but they've given no justification whatsoever. So, no. I just hope they throw it out of court, as it were. Thank you.
Thank you. Yeah, I really strongly object to this. As has been mentioned, the bugs, the birds rely on these bugs. You know, I've kept a bird box for quite a number of years with a camera in, and for the last 5 years, we haven't had blue tits and great tits and other birds in our garden. But thank goodness this year they've all come back somehow. I think it's obviously the weather has a lot to do with it, but you know, the babies of these birds rely on small bugs like caterpillars and things like that. In these dead trees, you've got loads and loads of bugs. You've got field mice go in there and nest. You've got voles go in there and nest. There's all on the dead trees that lay around. So we need them type of forest areas, really. That's what I'll class that as a small forest, and we need them type of areas, really. And as I say, I totally agree with the committee on what they're saying on this. Right, thank you. Obviously, I've heard about objections to all this on all them grounds, especially the environmental and the other one that was mentioned. Councillor Brown?
Yeah, just propose, strongly object.
Yeah, strongly object. It was proposed by Councillor Brown and seconded by Councillor Dave Smith. All those in favour, please show. Right, thank you very much. Right, item application 6, I should say, SCC 0030 22 SE. Retrospective permission for retention of temporary singular modular building, place, farm, primary academy, Camps Road. Councillor Burns?
Only to say that Suffolk County Council need to get their act together. Their drawing of where this thing is completely incorrect, because they've got this lovely thing called a magistrates court and place court, old people's care home listed there. Don't they know they sold the building to a retirement home company about 3.5, 4 years ago, and it's been demolished since. It's taken them a long time to realise that this hasn't got planning permission, but you know, that's it. But conceptually, I guess people found the application on the county council website, because it's not on the I've downloaded the docs if anyone hasn't seen them, that's all. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Anyone else will speak on this one? No? Can I have a proposal for neutral then, please? Councillor Liz Smith, can I have a seconder, please, for this? Neutral. Councillor Dave Smith, I saw. Right, all those in favour, please show. Right, it's carried. Thank you very much. Back to the agenda. Okay, this one is item 8, which is matters to report. Is there any matters to report from anyone? Councillor Burns?
Only just to repeat what I said earlier on about the Stellar's wine bar, the fact that hasn't got permission. I don't know what's going to happen there. And no news on the Vixen, of course. And we're still waiting to hear about the Atherton and Ellis site. What's going on there? Thank you.
Thank you very much. Is there any other matters to report? Councillor Dave Smith.
Sorry, Tony.
Sorry, Tony. I was just trying to type here, and it's gone right over your face. So that's why I'm replying to Councillor Mason. Sorry.
Yeah, just
I'm doing it to you all the time, aren't I?
I've been contacted by a disability forum about the scaffolding outside Peacocks, which goes around into Swan Lane, and it's actually blocking the crossing there. So I'm trying to sort of find out how to best to progress that. I guess it's I don't know if it's a highways issue or whether it's a licensing. So does scaffolding need to be licensed to be on a public highway? Yeah, so I don't know. Perhaps I see Councillor Burns nodding there. So what would you recommend would be the best way to challenge this?
Councillor Burns.
So highways would have issued them a license to do that. So they're the people to contact highways.
Okay.
I did notice a car was wrapped around it yesterday. I don't know if anyone else did. Yeah, with a police aware notice on it. I don't know how that managed to happen. That was just just underneath the Bigelow Hall there. Yeah, I think it's got to be Suffolk Highways, Councillor Smith.
I think there is a equality issue here. You know, not allowing disabled people's access to the crossing is not a good thing. Okay.
Thank you very much. Councillor Brown, sorry, but I do apologise again.
That's absolutely fine. That's just a quick question for John. Have you heard what's going on with the fox lately?
No, sorry, the fox. No, I had to think then what the fox was.
Yeah.
Rising Sun. Yes. All I know is it's got planning permission to go ahead. They're waiting for highways, the last time I heard, because of course when highways approved the first roundabout, they failed to give an actual entrance into the site. So I think they're trying to negotiate with highways a proper access, and because we all agreed about that. No left, no whatever it was, no right turn.
No right turn.
Remember that. I think that it's all part of this agreement that should have been done when the roundabout was built, and I suspect they're arguing about who's going to pay for it. But hopefully it'll get knocked down and rebuilt as soon as possible, as soon as we've got residents living up there.
It seems to have gone quiet for 18 months or so.
I think it's just all the conditions have got to be met first before they can do anything.
Thank you.
They've got no means of getting construction traffic in there.
Right, thank you very much for that. Right, thank you everyone. Item 9, which is the date of next meeting, which is the 24th, a couple of weeks' time. And thank you everyone. It's been a long session, but I think it's been a really good meeting tonight. We covered a lot, and thank you very much everyone for attending. And I'll see you on the 24th. Thank you, Colin. Can you stop the line?